That's a $200,000 Ducati, you crazy woman. Lucas Brandt's voice exploded like a gunshot through the mansion. His face turned red with fury as he ran down the stairs, his icy blue eyes fixed on the red streak racing toward the gates. His limited edition Ducati, with his unconscious 5-year-old son strapped to the back of Maya Oliveira, the housekeeper he had barely noticed in 5 years. She didn't look back. The security system went off. Guards shouted into radios. Cameras recorded her every movement. Lucas turned, nearly ripping the front door off its hinges. "Get the McLaren ready now," he roared. "Joel, you're coming with me." In seconds, the silver McLaren shot down the driveway. Lucas drove like a man possessed, his personal bodyguard clutching the dashboard beside him. Tires screamed, the engine roared, and the car shot down the slope like a missile. "She's heading east," Joel murmured, looking at the Ducati's GPS tracker on his phone. "Looks like she's going to Santa Cruz Hospital." "She took my son," Lucas replied curtly, swerving through traffic. "She's finished. If Maya's courage moved you, like to show your support and leave a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. You might be surprised to find someone nearby watching this story with you right now. 10 minutes earlier, Maya was folding towels. The morning sun streamed through the greenhouse windows, and Aiden played quietly with a little truck near the window. Her soft humming was the only sound. Then came the cough. It wasn't a normal cough. It was deep and wet. Maya looked up in time to see him fall. Her instincts kicked in. She ran to his side. His face was pale, lips bluish. His little chest was trembling instead of expanding. She felt his pulse. Too weak, too fast. She pressed the intercom. "Medical emergency. Aiden isn't breathing." No response. She pressed again. The response was terrifying. "Assistance on standby until owner authorization is confirmed." Rage coursed through her body. She ran to the gates, screaming, "He's dying! Let me out!" The guard remained motionless. "We need Mr. Brandt's approval, ma'am." Maya turned, heart racing, tears welling up, and ran to the garage. The Ducati gleamed under fluorescent lights like forbidden fruit. She didn't care. She grabbed a helmet, strapped Aiden to her chest, started the engine. Lucas appeared barefoot, shouting, "That's a $200,000 Ducati, you crazy woman." Maya didn't even look back. She murmured, "Then let that be the price of his life." And she shot through the gates when they opened just enough. Lucas caught up with her 5 kilometers later. The McLaren's engine roared behind her like a beast. Joel shouted directions, trying to cut her off, but Maya moved like lightning, weaving through São Paulo's morning traffic chaos with desperate precision. 9 minutes later, she braked hard at the Santa Cruz Hospital emergency entrance. Smoking tires, screaming brakes, racing heart. "Help, he's not breathing," she shouted, removing her helmet. Doctors ran out. A team of nurses took the boy and carried him inside. Before Maya could follow them, the McLaren stopped behind her. Lucas jumped out of the car, rage blinding his face. He struck her. The first blow hit her shoulder, knocking her sideways. The second, her side. "Reckless thief," he snarled. "You could have killed him." Maya cowered, hands protecting her face, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I begged for help," she cried. "No one came. He would have died." Joel pulled Lucas back. "Sir, the doctors have him now. It's over." But Lucas wasn't listening. His chest heaved, his fists trembled. He stood over her, threatening. Then a calm, clear voice cut through the air. "Mr. Brandt." Everyone turned. A middle-aged black woman in surgical scrubs emerged from the emergency room. Her presence was powerful. Her badge read, "Dr. Regina Thomas." "I'm Dr. Thomas, Chief of Pediatric Cardiology," she said, crossing her arms. "Your son is stable. Barely. If he had arrived 5 minutes later, we'd be preparing a body bag." Lucas froze. She continued, her voice sharp. "This woman saved your son's life. If it weren't for her decision to bring him here, despite your protocols and your locked gates, he would be dead." Silence. Maya sat on the ground, crumpled. Her arms hugged her body as she whispered brokenly, "You left him alone. You were in meetings. Didn't bother to listen to your own son gasping for air." Lucas's lips parted. but no sound came out. "You're his father," she whispered, tears falling. "But you weren't the one who acted like one today." The words hit like bullets. Lucas blinked. The fury disappeared from his face. His eyes shifted to the emergency room doors, then back to Maya, and then, to everyone's shock, he raised his own hand and slapped himself. Hard. The sharp crack echoed through the entrance. Everyone was stunned, even Maya. Lucas's eyes filled with tears, his chest rising in broken sobs. He took a slow step forward, then another, and fell to his knees before her. "I was wrong," he whispered. "My God, I was so wrong." He looked at her, trembling. "I was so focused on the cost of a motorcycle, on rules, on my damn image, that I almost let my son die. You didn't let that happen. You saved him." Tears streamed down his cheeks. "I'm sorry, Maya. I'm sorry for everything, for not seeing you, for not being a father." But his voice failed. "I'll be better. I'll be better. Just help me. Help me be the father he deserves." Maya looked at him. She didn't speak, but she didn't leave either. Not yet. "Are you seeing this incredible transformation happen? Thousands of people have already been touched by this story. If it's moving your heart too, tap like so more people can be inspired." Lucas Brandt stood alone in the fluorescent light of the hospital corridor, his $1,000 shoes stained with dust, his custom-made shirt wrinkled and damp with sweat. For the first time in years, he didn't know what to do with his hands. One clutched his chest, the other trembled near his jaw, still sore from the slap he had given himself moments before. Maya Oliveira sat on the bench outside the emergency room, arms wrapped around herself. A nurse had gently cleaned the blood from her lip and handed her a paper cup of water, which remained untouched in her hands. Her eyes were red but dry now, staring at a fixed point on the tile floor, as if trying to become invisible. On the other side, behind thick glass panels, little Aiden lay in a hospital bed, connected to wires and machines that blinked and beeped in a constant rhythm. His chest rose with mechanical precision, aided by oxygen tubes. His little hand rested on his belly, motionless. Lucas approached the glass. His reflection stared back at him, disheveled, exhausted, unrecognizable. "He's stable," Dr. Thomas had said, "but you need to prepare yourself. His condition is chronic, undiagnosed until now." "This won't be the last time." Lucas's throat tightened. "I didn't know," he had said, ashamed. "That's the problem," the doctor replied, her voice balanced. "You didn't ask." Now, silence covered the corridor, thick with unspoken words. Joel remained in the background, arms crossed, looking for press or cameras, but none had arrived. Not yet. Lucas turned, slowly approaching Maya. She didn't flinch, but she didn't meet his gaze either. He sat on the bench beside her, leaving a respectful space between them. "I didn't thank you," he said quietly. No response. He tried again. "You saved him. You saved my son. And I tried to hurt you in front of a hospital." Maya's lip curved, not with anger, but with disbelief. "Do you hear how that sounds?" she said, her voice weak. "I do now," Lucas said, nodding. "It sounds like something a man says right before he loses everything." She looked at him for the first time, eyes penetrating and tired. "You almost did." They sat in silence for a long moment. "I didn't know he was so sick," Lucas confessed. "I thought the tiredness was just allergies, the quietness. I thought it was just his personality." Maya shook her head. "He wasn't quiet. He was scared. That house isn't a home, it's a fortress." Lucas winced at that. The truth hurt more than any slap could. "I lost my son 3 years ago," Maya suddenly whispered, looking ahead again. 12 years old, asthma attack, ambulance stuck behind construction. We waited. He died in my arms." Lucas turned his full attention to her, stunned. "I swore I would never let another child die while adults debated rules." Lucas swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." "I didn't need your I'm sorry," she said flatly. "I needed the gate to open." He nodded. "That's going to change. All of it. The staff, the protocols, the way things work. I swear to you, I don't want to be that man anymore." Maya looked at him. It's not about who you don't want to be. It's about who Aiden needs you to become. That hit him deeply. Lucas rubbed his hands. What does he need? Time, presence, safety, love that isn't bought with gold or guarded by men in suits, Maya said, her voice softening. Lucas looked at the water cup in her hands. He gently pushed it closer to her fingers. You were the only person who saw him. I think you knew him better than I did. I listened, she said simply. A moment later, the emergency room doors opened. Dr. Thomas came out again, clipboard in hand. He's breathing on his own now, she said, still resting, but you can go in one at a time. Lucas looked at Maya, then stood up. You first, he said. Please. Maya hesitated. For a moment, her pride fought with her exhaustion. Then she nodded and stood up. Inside, the room was cool and quiet. She approached the bed and gently touched Aiden's little hand. His fingers trembled slightly. His eyelids fluttered. Maya let out a sigh she didn't realize she'd been holding. You're going to be okay, she whispered. I'm with you, Maya, Aiden murmured. Lucas watched through the window, hand pressed against the glass. Something broke inside him, something hard and old, built from years of ambition, detachment, and walls too high for even a child's love to climb. After a few minutes, Maya came out, her expression unreadable. He asked for you, she said softly. Lucas swallowed his fear and entered the room. Aiden was still, weak, but awake now, his eyes heavy but focused. Lucas knelt beside the bed, uncertain where to begin. Hey, buddy, he said gently. It's Daddy. Aiden blinked slowly. I'm here now, Lucas continued, and I'm going to do better, I promise. Aiden's lips parted. A whisper escaped. Where's Maya? Lucas smiled weakly through the pain in his heart. She's right outside. She's not going anywhere. None of us are. He reached for Aiden's hand, and this time the boy didn't pull away. When Lucas came out, the corridor seemed warmer, somehow softer. Maya was standing, arms crossed. Lucas stared at her. I want you to stay, he said. Not as a housekeeper, as something more, as Aiden's caregiver, his family, if you'll let us call you that. Maya's eyebrows furrowed. You think an apology makes this right? No, Lucas said, but I hope it's a beginning. And for the first time, Maya nodded slowly, not as acceptance, but as a door opening slightly. Maybe, just maybe, there was still time for him to become the man his son believed he was. And maybe Maya, the woman who had once lost everything, had just saved more than a child. She might have just saved them both. The Brandt mansion, once a symbol of glacial perfection, seemed different the day Aiden returned home. The polished marble floor still gleamed, the chandeliers still captured light like frozen stars, but something had cracked, not in the structure, but in the silence. The tension, once sewn tightly into every corner, had softened. Aiden's absence had left a mark. His return, escorted by Maya and Lucas side by side, felt like a reckoning. Maya walked a step behind the wheelchair, gently pushing, while Aiden's thin body was supported with pillows. He was quieter than usual, his energy still low, but there was a calm in his eyes now. Not the silence of fear, but the tranquility of safety. Lucas opened the front door himself. No housekeeper, no guards, just him. I asked the staff to take the weekend off, he said quietly, looking over his shoulder. I thought we could figure things out. Maya said nothing. She pushed Aiden through the grand foyer, past the hallway where she had once screamed for help and been ignored. Past the staircase she had run down with the gasping boy in her arms. Past the garage that still smelled faintly of gasoline and desperation. Upstairs, Lucas had converted one of the guest rooms into a small recovery suite. It wasn't the main wing. It was smaller, cozier, closer to Maya's quarters. The change was intentional. I wanted him close to you, Lucas said. He asked for it. Maya raised her eyebrows, but nodded once as she settled Aiden into bed. Lucas remained in the doorway like a man uncertain of his place in his own house. Do you need anything else? He asked. Aiden looked at Maya. She smiled, brushing the hair from the boy's forehead. We're fine for now, she replied. Lucas turned to leave, but stopped. I'll be in the kitchen trying to make grilled cheese sandwiches. No promises. Aiden smiled weakly. No pickles. Lucas laughed, a genuine laugh, and disappeared downstairs. An hour later, Maya entered the kitchen, drying her hands on a towel. The smell of burnt bread and melted cheese hung in the air like an awkward peace offering. Lucas was at the stove, apron worn backwards. A slice of bread stuck to the pan like regret. He looked up, embarrassed. "I think I underestimated how hard this is," he admitted. Maya crossed her arms. "It's a sandwich, not nuclear physics." "Still," he muttered, wielding a spatula like a weapon, "you make it look easy." She leaned against the counter. "That's because you never looked." Lucas nodded. The silence bloomed again. This time not cold but heavy with everything unsaid. "Why did you come back?" he asked suddenly. "After what I did, after I hit you, after I failed you." Maya's face tensed. She looked at her hands, then at the distant hills through the window. "I didn't come back for you," she said. "I came back for Aiden. He trusts me. I won't abandon him." Lucas nodded. "But you're still here." "I am," she said, "because the boy needs more than a nurse. He needs stability, someone who won't disappear when the world gets loud." Lucas dropped the spatula, leaned against the counter. "I want to be that person." "Then be," she said simply. "Teach me." That made her pause. She turned. "I don't know how to teach a billionaire to be a father." He shook his head. "Not a billionaire, just a man trying not to mess everything up again." Maya sighed. "Start small, show up, listen. Stop hiding behind your schedule." Lucas tilted his head. "Is that what you think I do?" "It's what you did," she said. "I used to think money solved everything." He admitted that if I provided, if I gave him the best, I was doing my job. "And he would have died in a mansion full of luxury," she replied. The words hung there, sharp and clear. Lucas didn't back down. "That won't happen again." He poured 2 cups of coffee and handed one to her. She accepted it cautiously. "To new beginnings," he said. "To staying awake this time," she replied. That night, the mansion fell into a different rhythm. No alarms, no footsteps in the corridors, no emails echoing from Lucas's office after midnight, just the occasional sound of Maya humming softly as she checked on Aiden. Just the sound of Lucas watching old home videos alone in the living room, his son's laughter like the voice of a stranger from a distant world. At 2 in the morning, Maya found him there, curled up on the couch, the screen frozen on a clip of 3-year-old Aiden trying to ride a tricycle. "You should sleep," she said. "I missed all of this," Lucas whispered. "I let it all pass by." "You were busy building an empire," she said, sitting across from him. "And what do I have now?" he asked, his voice breaking. "An empire of silence." Maya looked at him. "Empires can crumble," she said, "but families, if you fight for them, can survive." He wiped his face, nodded. "Then that's what I'll fight for." She stood up. "Then start tomorrow." "He wakes up at 6 and likes waffles." Lucas laughed again. Raw, but real. "Waffles at 6. Got it." Dizzle. As Maya disappeared down the hallway, Lucas sat in the dark looking at the screen, at the boy pedaling toward a father who never really knew how to reach him. But tomorrow was coming, and maybe, just maybe, he would be ready. The sun broke through the tall windows of the Brandt mansion like a gentle apology. Golden light poured across the polished wooden floor and danced along the granite countertops in the kitchen. Lucas was already up, sleeves rolled up, flour on his cheek, and the air thick with the smell of butter and batter. He stared at the waffle maker like it was a bomb. "Okay," he whispered to himself. "You've closed 9-figure deals, survived 7 hostile takeovers. You can make a waffle." Behind him, Maya entered, already dressed in soft clothes. She raised an eyebrow at the mess. A trail of eggshells, milk cartons, and a cloud of flour that hung like mist. "I said waffles, not war," she said, crossing her arms. Lucas smiled sheepishly. "Progress, not perfection." She picked up the bowl and inspected the mixture. "You used baking soda and baking powder." "I panicked," he admitted. Maya shook her head. "It's a miracle you didn't burn down the kitchen." From the hallway, Aiden's voice called weakly, "Are the waffles ready?" Lucas turned toward the sound, his smile growing. Buddy, Chef Dad is handling it. No, Maya intervened, closed the waffle maker with practiced ease, then set a timer. She turned to Lucas and crossed her arms again, more softly this time. You're trying, she said. That's more than you did before. I'm scared, Lucas confessed, that it's too late, that I'm going to mess everything up. Maya nodded. Good. Fear means you care. When the waffles were served, slightly uneven, slightly golden, Lucas carried the tray to Aiden's room himself. The boy's face lit up when he saw Maya and his father enter. You cooked? He asked, disbelief written on his face. Lucas sat on the edge of the bed, placing the tray on Aiden's lap. With my own hands. Aiden sniffed the air, then looked to Maya for confirmation. She smiled and nodded. He took a bite and chewed thoughtfully. It's not bad, he said. Lucas let out a sigh as if he had just passed an exam. The three of them sat there for the next 20 minutes, sunlight streaming in, the silence filled only with syrup drips and small laughter. It was nothing and everything. In the middle of the meal, Aiden looked at Lucas. You're not going away again, right? Lucas met his eyes. I'm not going anywhere. Aiden studied him for a moment longer, then extended a small, sticky hand and grabbed his father's pinky finger. Promise. Lucas intertwined his pinky without hesitation. Promise. Maya, watching from the side, blinked hard against the burning growing behind her eyes. Later that morning, Lucas sat in his office, the space once distant where he ruled empires, now quiet. He looked at a photo on the shelf, a glossy portrait of him receiving an award at some gala, a frozen smile on his face. He picked it up, turned it over, and put it in a drawer. He opened his laptop and composed an email. Subject, schedule update. Hi, Karen. Cancel all meetings this week. I'll be working remotely and won't be available for calls unless it's urgent. Family health comes first. Please respect this boundary. Sincerely, Lucas Brandt. He hesitated, then sent it. A light knock came at the door. Maya entered holding a folder. Dr. Thomas sent Aiden's recovery plan. Lucas gestured for her to come in. Let's sit. They reviewed the document together. Medications, follow-up appointments, emergency protocols, dietary suggestions. Lucas took notes, asked questions. Maya noticed how he didn't just nod and scan, he listened. At one point she looked at him and said, "You're different." Lucas looked up. Different how? Less polished, less rehearsed. I'm tired of acting, he said. And honestly, I don't think that version of me deserves a place at the table. Maya studied him. That version was cold, but not evil, just lost. Lucas smiled sadly. Lost is generous. I built a kingdom without doors, and when someone tried to knock, I punished them. They were quiet for a moment, then Maya said, "Then open a door." That afternoon, Lucas surprised Aiden with a walk in the garden. Joel followed at a discreet distance, hands clasped behind his back, eyes scanning for threats. But today, there were none. Just birds, bees, and a boy rediscovering the air. Aiden pointed at a butterfly. "What's this one called?" Lucas squinted. Monarch." "No," Maya interrupted, joining them. "That's a painted lady." Lucas looked at her, impressed. "How do you know that?" "My son used to chase them," she said softly. "I learned the names just to keep up with him." Aiden looked between them, curious. "You had a son?" Maya nodded. "His name was Caleb. He would be 15 now." Lucas placed a gentle hand on her shoulder for just a moment. She didn't pull away. "I'm sorry," Aiden whispered. "Thank you," Maya said. "He would have liked you." Moments like these make us reflect on our own lives. How many times do we lose what really matters? If this story is inspiring you to value your family more, tell us if you've been through a similar situation in the comments. They walked in silence for a while after that. Near the end of the path, Aiden asked, "Dad, can Maya come with us to the zoo someday?" Lucas smiled. "Sure, if she says yes." Maya arched an eyebrow. "Are you ready for a giraffe to spit on you?" Aiden laughed. "Yes." And so, the silence between them seemed lighter. That night, as the house calmed and the lights dimmed, Lucas stood outside Aiden's room, watching the boy sleep. Maya joined him silently. arms folded. "You know," she said, "most people would have sued me for taking that motorcycle." Lucas laughed softly. "Most people don't slap themselves in public. I'll never forget that," she said. "Neither will I," he said. "It will always remind me." They shared a moment of understanding, the kind that doesn't need words to be communicated. The next day, the doctors cleared Aiden with a strict regimen of medications, follow-up appointments, and special care. Lucas sat with Maya in the waiting room while the paperwork was processed. "I was thinking," he said, fingers drumming nervously on his thigh, "about what you said, about how the house isn't a home." Maya looked at him, waiting. "I want to change that. The house, the system, the protocols, all of it." "That's good," she replied softly. "But I don't know how," Lucas admitted, his gaze meeting hers. "I built a fortress, not a home. I don't know the difference between security and prison." Maya reflected for a moment. "A home breathes. It has doors that open when they need to, not just when it's scheduled. A home listens. It doesn't ignore cries for help." Lucas nodded. "Can you help me learn that? For Aiden's sake." That night, when they returned to the mansion, Lucas asked Joel to turn off the automatic security system. "From today on, people make decisions, not algorithms," he declared. The staff looked confused, but no one questioned. The first weeks were a strange dance. Maya, no longer wearing a maid's uniform, helped Aiden with his medications and care. Lucas worked remotely, showing up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner as if he were learning a new language, the language of presence. The changes were small at first. One night, Aiden had a nightmare. Maya ran to his room, only to find Lucas already there, holding his son's hand, singing off-key a lullaby. "You heard," she said, surprised. "I put a monitor in my room," he explained, "to hear when he needs me." Another change. Afternoon meetings were moved to the garden, where Lucas could see Aiden playing while talking on the phone. He learned to take notes with one hand while pushing the swing with the other. Gradually, the mansion began to change. The gates remained open during the day. The guards learned people's names instead of their authorization codes. The house was louder, messier, more alive. A month after the incident, Lucas came home with a gift for Maya. It wasn't jewelry or something expensive, but a card. "What is this?" she asked. "Your new title," he explained. "No longer a housekeeper. You're officially the residential coordinator and Aiden's caregiver, with matching salary and benefits." Maya looked at the card, printed with her name, and felt something change inside her. It wasn't just the recognition or respect. It was something deeper, the feeling of belonging. That night, after putting Aiden to bed, Maya found Lucas on the terrace. He was looking at the stars, an untouched glass of wine beside him. "May I join you?" she asked. He nodded, indicating the chair beside him. "Why did you do this?" Maya asked after a long moment of silence. "Promote me, keep me here after everything." Lucas thought for a moment. "Because you saw what was important when I was blind. Because you risked everything without thinking twice. Because you showed more courage in 10 minutes than I showed in my entire life." "It wasn't courage," Maya said. "It was instinct." "That's where you're wrong," Lucas replied softly. "Courage is exactly that, doing what's right when everyone around you is doing wrong. Instinct is wisdom of the heart, not the mind." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. It wasn't an ending, Maya realized. It was just the beginning. Over the months, their relationship evolved. There was no romance, not yet anyway, but there was respect, trust, and the kind of friendship that only comes through shared hardship. Together, they created a new kind of family, imperfect, improvised, but genuine. Aiden improved under their combined care. His heart attacks diminished, his energy returned. He began calling Maya Ma, not mother, not exactly, but close enough to fill her heart with joy. 6 months after the Ducati incident, the doorbell rang. Something unusual, since most visitors were expected. Maya opened the door and froze. An elegant woman with aristocratic features stared at her, eyes studying her, as if she were an anomaly. "You must be the maid," the woman said, her voice soft but sharp. "I'm Celeste Brandt, Aiden's mother. Where is my son?" Maya's world seemed to wobble. Aiden had never mentioned his mother. Lucas spoke of her only vaguely, in terms of agreement and absence. Now here she was, standing on the porch as if she had every right to be there. "He's at piano lessons," Maya replied, her voice steadier than expected. "Lucas is on a call in his office. I can call him for you." Celeste's eyes narrowed. "That won't be necessary. I'll wait in the living room. I know the way." She brushed past Maya, leaving a trail of expensive perfume. Maya followed, uncertain what to do. Celeste examined the room with critical eyes. "I see things have changed since my departure. Less formal. The house is happier now," Maya replied, before she could stop herself. Celeste turned to her, an enigmatic smile on her perfect lips. "And you would be responsible for that, I presume? The heroine who saved Lucas's precious son?" Before Maya could respond, Aiden came running into the room. "Ma, look what I—" He stopped, staring at the stranger. "Who are you?" Celeste's face hardened for a fraction of a second before melting into a bright smile. "I'm your mother, darling. Don't you remember me?" Aiden stepped back, instinctively moving closer to Maya. "I don't have a mother. I have a dad and a ma." Celeste shot a sharp look at Maya. "I see you've done more than simply work here." Lucas appeared in the doorway, his face a mask of shock and something else. Anger, fear. "Celeste, what are you doing here?" "I came to see my son, of course," she replied smoothly. "I heard about his health incident. I thought it was time to resume my role in his life." "You gave up that role 3 years ago," Lucas said, his voice dangerously calm. "You signed the papers. You agreed to the terms." "Circumstances have changed," Celeste retorted, "and it seems you've hired inadequate replacements in my absence." Maya felt blood rise to her face. Aiden grabbed her hand, squeezing tightly. "Maya isn't a replacement," Lucas said firmly. "She's family now." "How lovely." Celeste smiled, but her eyes remained cold. "So progressive of you. Unfortunately, the courts may have a different view. My lawyers contacted yours this morning." Maya felt her heart sink. Courts, lawyers. What did this mean? "You're suing for custody?" Lucas asked incredulously. "Shared custody. To start." Celeste looked at Aiden, who hid partially behind Maya. "I'm his biological mother. I have rights." "You renounced those rights," Lucas said, his voice rising. "People make mistakes," Celeste shrugged elegantly, "but one can always take them back." Maya felt the world wobble again. Just when they had found stability, built something resembling happiness, this threat emerged from nowhere. She looked at Aiden, his little face tense with fear and confusion, and felt a fierce determination grow inside her. This wouldn't be the first battle she'd fight for him. Lucas stepped forward. "I think you've said enough, Celeste. Please leave my house. Any future communication should be through our lawyers." "As you wish," she smiled, picking up her expensive bag. At the door, she stopped and looked back. "It was nice meeting you, Maya. Enjoy the time you have with my son. It won't last." When the door closed, silence descended like an impending storm. Aiden looked at Maya, then at his father. "Is she going to take me away?" Lucas knelt down, placing his hands on his son's shoulders. "No, we won't let that happen. I promise." Later, after Aiden finally fell asleep, Lucas found Maya in the kitchen, making tea with trembling hands. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have told you about her, about the terms of our divorce." Maya nodded, handing him a cup. "Why now? After 3 years?" Lucas sighed deeply. "Money, probably. Our divorce agreement included a substantial one-time payment in exchange for renouncing parental rights. She must have spent it all. And what do we do now?" "We fight," Lucas said simply, "with everything we have." Maya looked at him, seeing beyond the powerful billionaire, beyond the dedicated father he had become, to the man who, like her, was scared but determined. "Together," she said. "Together," he agreed. The legal battle was brutal. Celeste had enough money to hire aggressive lawyers, and her status as biological mother gave her an advantage in some aspects. But Lucas had resources, And more importantly, he had the truth on his side. Maya was the main target of Celeste's tactics. Her story was turned over, every detail of her past exposed and twisted. The loss of her own son, Caleb, was used against her. Emotional instability, Celeste's lawyers argued. The Ducati incident was labeled as reckless behavior, putting a child in danger. Meanwhile, Aiden suffered from the uncertainty. Although he was spared most of the legal drama, he felt the tension. His heart attacks returned, now triggered not just by physical problems, but by anxiety. One night, during a particularly strong storm, Maya found Aiden huddled in his closet, trembling. "What's wrong, darling?" she asked, sitting on the floor beside him. "If she wins, I won't see you anymore," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I heard the lawyers talking to Daddy." Maya felt her heart break, but her voice remained firm. "Listen carefully, Aiden. No matter what happens in any court, no matter what any paper says, I will always be with you, one way or another. Promise?" he asked, eyes big and vulnerable. "Promise," she said, wrapping him in her arms. The next day, Maya made a decision. She went to Lucas's office and knocked on the door. "I need to speak with the lawyers," she said. "Alone." Lucas looked surprised but nodded. "I'll arrange it." At the meeting, Maya was direct. "I want to request legal custody of Aiden, not just as his caregiver, but as official guardian." The lead attorney, an elderly man with decades of experience, removed his glasses. "Miss Oliveira, I understand your dedication, but this would significantly complicate our case. Mrs. Brandt is already using your relationship with Aiden as an argument against Mr. Brandt. And that's exactly why we need to make it official," Maya insisted. "The court needs to see that I'm not just an employee. I'm family." "It's a risky move. Aiden's life is at stake," Maya said firmly. "His attacks are getting worse. He needs stability, not uncertainty. If that means putting myself legally in the line of fire, so be it." When she told Lucas about her decision, he was silent for a long moment. Then, to her surprise, he nodded. "You're right. Actually, I should have suggested this before." "It will complicate things," Maya warned. "Things are already complicated," Lucas replied. "But now we're on the offensive, not defensive." The final hearing was scheduled for a Wednesday. The courtroom was packed. Cases involving billionaires always attract attention. Celeste was radiant in an elegant suit, projecting the perfect image of a repentant mother seeking reconciliation. Maya wore a simple but dignified dress, her hair carefully braided, her hands steady despite the fear that threatened to consume her. Lucas sat beside her, his presence a pillar of strength. The judge, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes, reviewed the final documents. "Before I render my decision, I would like to hear from Aiden himself. Is he present?" Lucas nodded. "He's in the waiting room with our assistant, Your Honor." When Aiden entered, he looked so small amid the formal proceedings, but he walked steadily, eyes moving from Maya to his father, then to the woman who claimed to be his mother. "Hello, Aiden," the judge said gently. "Do you know why we're here today?" He nodded. "To decide who I'm going to live with." "It's a very difficult decision," the judge explained, "and your opinion is very important to me. Can you tell me how you feel?" Aiden was silent for a moment, then spoke with surprising clarity for such a young child. "I want to stay with my dad and with Maya. They take care of me. They know when I need medicine. Maya listens to me breathe at night to make sure I'm okay." "And what about your mother?" the judge asked. "Would you like to spend time with her too?" Aiden looked at Celeste, then back at the judge. "I don't know her. She never came to see me when I was sick. She never called on my birthday. Maya saved me. She's my family now." A tear rolled down Maya's face. Lucas held her hand under the table, squeezing it firmly. Celeste stood up. "Your Honor, he's just a child. He's clearly been manipulated to—" "Mrs. Brandt, please sit down," the judge interrupted firmly. She looked at Aiden again. "Thank you for your honesty, young man. You can return to the waiting room now." After Aiden left, the judge interlaced her fingers, looking at the three adults before her. "I rarely see a case as clear as this one. On one side, we have a biological mother who voluntarily renounced her rights for financial compensation and showed no interest in her child's welfare for 3 years. On the other side, we have a father who, while he made mistakes, has made significant changes in his life to become a better father, and a caregiver who literally risked her life to save this child. She looked directly at Celeste. "Mrs. Brandt, this court denies your petition for shared custody. Furthermore, your previous renunciation of parental rights remains in effect." Celeste paled, her lips pressed into a thin line. The judge then turned to Lucas and Maya. "As for Miss Oliveira's petition for joint legal custody," she paused. "Granted. This court officially recognizes Maya Oliveira as co-legal guardian of Aiden Brandt, with all pertinent rights and responsibilities." Maya covered her mouth with her hand, unable to contain a sob of relief. Lucas hugged her, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears. Celeste stood up abruptly. "This isn't over," she hissed before leaving the courtroom. "I'm afraid she's right," the lawyer murmured. "She'll probably appeal." "Let her try," Lucas said, his arm still around Maya. "We're ready." When they told Aiden the news, he reacted the only way a 5-year-old could, with a shout of joy and a request for ice cream to celebrate. As they walked through the park, Aiden between them holding their hands, Maya felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in years since losing Caleb. "What are you thinking?" Lucas asked, noticing her silence. "That sometimes families aren't made by blood," she replied. "They're made by choices, difficult choices, brave choices." Lucas nodded, looking at his son, now also her son in the eyes of the law. "Like stealing a $200,000 Ducati?" Maya laughed, the sound light and free. "Exactly like that." That night, after Aiden fell asleep, Lucas found Maya on the terrace again. It had become their nightly ritual, those moments of shared peace under the stars. "I have something for you," he said, extending a small box. Maya opened it carefully. Inside was a key. "What is this?" "The key to the Ducati," Lucas explained. "I had it fixed. It's in the garage." Maya looked at him, stunned. "You're giving me a $200,000 motorcycle?" "No," he smiled. "I'm returning something that was already yours, the moment you took it to save our son." "Our son." The words hung between them, simple but powerful. Maya closed her fingers around the key, feeling its weight, its meaning. "Thank you," she said softly. Lucas sat beside her, their shoulders almost touching. "No, Maya. Thank you for teaching a man who had everything what really matters in life." Under the starry sky, two strangers whom fate had brought together through extraordinary circumstances shared a moment of perfect understanding. It wasn't a happy ending. Life rarely offers those. It was an honest beginning, a promise of better days to come, an improvised, imperfect, but genuine family. And as the night progressed, the mansion that had once been a fortress slept peacefully, finally transformed into a home. 2 years had passed since the legal battle that officially united Maya and Aiden as family. The Brandt mansion, once a fortress of marble and glass, had transformed into a true home. Toys scattered on the floor, laughter echoing through the corridors, and a routine that wasn't defined by rigid rules, but by the natural rhythm of a family. Aiden, now 7 years old, flourished under the combined care of Lucas and Maya. His heart condition, while still requiring constant monitoring, had stabilized. Doctors called it a medical miracle. Maya and Lucas knew it was the result of love, stability, and an environment where the boy could simply be a child. The red Ducati, restored to its original glory, occupied a place of honor in the garage. Maya rarely rode it. She preferred the safe SUV to take Aiden to school. But sometimes, on Sunday mornings with the sun rising, she took it out for a quick ride, feeling the freedom and remembering the day that changed everything. Lucas had changed too. The distant, work-obsessed billionaire had learned to balance his business responsibilities with his family life. Meetings were interrupted to take calls from Aiden's school. Business trips were limited to 2 days, never more. The Brandt empire continued to prosper, but now with a deeper purpose. However, not everything was peaceful. Celeste had kept her promise not to give up. Her legal resources failed, but she found other ways to remain as a shadow in their lives. Occasional articles appeared in gossip press. Billionaire abandons wife for maid. Desperate mother prevented from seeing son. Distorted narratives that painted Celeste as the victim. On a spring morning, Maya was preparing breakfast when the phone rang. It was Elijah, her brother, who had become a regular presence in their lives after the legal battle. "Did you see the magazine today?" he asked, his voice tense. "No. Why?" "Celeste gave an interview. A big one, with photos and everything. It's ugly, Maya." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "What did she say?" "Accusations. Says Lucas gave you custody to prevent her from having access to her son. Insinuates that you two are together since before Aiden was born. Suggests you might have something to do with his heart problem." Maya closed her eyes, breathing deeply. "Thanks for warning me. I'll talk to Lucas." When she hung up, she turned to find Aiden standing in the kitchen doorway, his teddy bear pressed against his chest. "Good morning, sunshine," she smiled, trying to hide her concern. "Is the bad woman coming back?" he asked, his eyes big with worry. Even at 7, he was too perceptive. Maya knelt down, getting to his level. "No, darling, she's just saying silly things to magazines. Nothing will change, I promise." Aiden nodded, not totally convinced. "Can I have hot chocolate for breakfast?" "Of course you can," Maya smiled, grateful for the simplicity of childhood needs. "With extra marshmallows." When Lucas came downstairs, she showed him the online magazine on her tablet. He read in silence, his face hardening with each paragraph. "I'm tired of this," he said finally. "Tired of her continually trying to poison our happiness." "What can we do?" Maya asked. "Sue her for defamation?" Lucas shook his head. "That would just give her more attention, more stage." He sighed deeply. "But maybe it's time for a change. I've been thinking about this for some time." "What kind of change?" "A change of scenery. This house has too many memories. Some good now, thanks to you. But it also has shadows. Aiden's accident, the legal battles, reporters at the gates." Maya studied his face. "Are you suggesting we move?" "Not just changing houses," Lucas said, his voice lighter now, almost excited. "I'm thinking of something more radical. I've been considering expanding business internationally for some time. London, maybe, or Tokyo. A fresh start for all of us." Maya felt a wave of conflicting emotions. The idea of leaving everything behind was scary, but also liberating. A place where they wouldn't be the billionaire, the ex-maid, and the boy at the center of a scandal. Just a family. "What would Aiden say?" she asked. "Let's ask him," Lucas replied. To their surprise, Aiden loved the idea. His eyes sparkled with the possibility of new adventures, new friends, a school where no one would whisper about his unconventional family. "Can I take all my dinosaurs?" was his only concern. "Every one of them," Lucas promised. In the following weeks, plans were made. Lucas chose London, far enough for a fresh start, but still connected to the business empire he had built. A house was purchased, not an isolated mansion this time, but an elegant residence in a family neighborhood with a back garden and a nearby park. Maya helped Aiden research their new city. Together they read about Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, the Natural History Museum with its dinosaur skeletons. It was a way to prepare him, but also to prepare herself. This would be her first major move since losing Caleb, her first real step into the future. On the eve of their departure, Joel and Elijah organized a small farewell party. Just the people who mattered. Dr. Thomas, who had treated Aiden in that first desperate emergency, the house staff who had become an extension of the family, some of Aiden's friends from school. Not everyone understood the decision to leave, but everyone wished them well. Late at night, after the guests left, and Aiden fell asleep exhausted from all the excitement, Maya found Lucas in the garage, thoughtfully looking at the Ducati. "We're not taking her," he said. "I thought about donating her to charity, auctioning her and giving the money to pediatric heart disease research." Maya considered this for a moment, then shook her head. No, she stays. Lucas looked at her, surprised. But you barely use her. It's not about using, Maya explained. It's about remembering, about keeping a part of the journey that brought us here. She smiled softly. Besides, London has many narrow streets. She might be useful. Lucas laughed, the sound echoing in the spacious garage. He reached out, touching her face gently. You never cease to amaze me. The moment stretched between them, charged with something unspoken, something that had been growing silently over the years. It wasn't just gratitude or mutual respect now. It was something deeper, more complete. Maya, he began, his voice hoarse with emotion. I know, she replied softly. Me too. Their lips met, hesitant at first, then with growing certainty. A kiss that wasn't about passion, but about recognition, about finally accepting what they had both known for some time. When they separated, Lucas rested his forehead against hers. Does this complicate things? Maya smiled. The best things in life usually complicate, but they also simplify. The next morning, as the sun rose over the city that had been the stage for so much drama in their lives, they departed, not as maid and employer, not just as co-guardians, but as a family in every sense that mattered. The private jet took off, carrying them into the sky, into the future. Aidan pressed his face against the window, watching the clouds. Look, Ma, we're flying with the birds. Maya held his little hand, feeling his pulse, strong, steady, full of life. Beside her, Lucas intertwined his fingers with hers, his touch a silent promise. Below them, the city shrank, becoming just a collection of structures, the mansions indistinguishable from common houses at this height. Distance had that effect. It made differences seem smaller, made connections more important. Where are we going after London? Aidan suddenly asked. Lucas looked at Maya, a shared smile between them. Who knows? The world is big. We have time. Time, the greatest luxury of all. Not measured in minutes or hours, but in moments. One hand holding another. A bedtime story read. A shared breakfast. A life built not from expectations or obligations, but from choices. Brave choices. Like stealing an expensive motorcycle to save a life. Like slapping yourself in front of a hospital. Like opening your heart to the possibility of loving again after losing everything. The sun shone through the jet's window, illuminating the three faces. An unlikely family forged not by blood, but by adversity and the courage to face it together. And as they flew toward the horizon, toward a new beginning, Maya thought about how unpredictable life was, how a moment of desperation could lead to a life of purpose, how an act of courage could change not just one destiny, but three. She looked at Lucas, at the man he had become, at the partner he now was. She looked at Aidan, at the boy who had stolen her heart, filling the void left by Caleb's loss. And for the first time in a long time, Maya Oliveira felt completely at peace. Not because the future was certain, it never was. Not because the struggles were over, new ones would certainly come, but because now she knew with a certainty that came from hard experience that any storm could be faced when you weren't alone. The plane cut through the clouds, emerging into clear sky above. Below them, the past. Ahead, the future. And in this perfect moment, suspended between the two, just the present, just the three of them, just love, a family, imperfect, improvised, extraordinary. And in the end, that was all that mattered. 6 months after settling in London, life had found a new rhythm. The house in Notting Hill, with its colourful doors and well-tended gardens, had quickly become a home. Aidan adapted with the characteristic flexibility of children, absorbing the British accent, making new friends, and filling the walls with drawings of bridges and red double-decker buses. Lucas had established the European office of Brandt Enterprises, finally delegating more responsibilities, finding a balance that had once seemed impossible. And Maya, to her own surprise, had found a new vocation. Inspired by her experience with Aidan, she began studying pediatric nursing, determined to help other children with heart conditions. On a rainy Saturday, typical of London, the three were cozied up in the living room, playing Monopoly, when the doorbell rang. Lucas stood up. Must be the food delivery. But when he opened the door, it wasn't the curry delivery they were expecting. It was Celeste. She looked different. Not the glamorous, calculating woman they had faced in court, but someone more subdued, almost fragile. Her hair was shorter, her face without the impeccable makeup she had always worn as armor. "Hello, Lucas," she said, her voice soft. "May I come in?" "It's raining." Lucas hesitated, then opened the door wider. "How did you find us?" "I have my methods," she said, entering and removing her wet coat. "But I didn't come to cause trouble. I came to talk." "Nay." In the living room, Maya stood up abruptly when she saw who had arrived. Aiden, sensing the tension, moved to stand beside her. "What is she doing here?" Maya asked, her hand instinctively finding Aiden's shoulder. "She says she wants to talk," Lucas replied, his tone cautious. Celeste looked at the three of them standing together as a unit. Her eyes rested on Aiden, absorbing how he had grown, how healthy and happy he looked. "May I speak with you two privately?" she asked. "Without Aiden." Maya exchanged a look with Lucas. After a moment, she turned to the boy. "Aiden, darling, how about watching some TV in your room? I promise we'll finish the game later." He frowned, looking suspiciously at Celeste. "Is she going to try to take me away?" "No," Maya said firmly. "No one is taking you anywhere. Ever." After Aiden went upstairs, the three adults sat in the living room, an uncomfortable silence hanging between them. "Say what you came to say, Celeste," Lucas spoke finally. "And then leave." Celeste took a deep breath. "I'm sick," she said simply. "Cancer. Advanced." Maya felt a shock of surprise, followed by an unexpected wave of compassion. "I'm sorry," Lucas said, his tone softer now. "I didn't come for sympathy," Celeste continued. "I came for understanding. Maybe redemption, if such a thing is possible." She looked directly at Maya. "You were right about me. About everything. I abandoned my son because he was inconvenient to my life. I tried to get him back years later because my ego was wounded, not because I really cared about him. I was terrible." Maya didn't respond, unsure how to react to this version of Celeste she had never seen before. "The doctors gave me 6 months," Celeste continued. "Maybe less. It made me rethink a lot." She hesitated, then looked from Lucas to Maya. "You two, are you together now?" Lucas took Maya's hand. "Yes." A sad smile appeared on Celeste's face. "I'm glad, really. You deserve someone who really cares, Lucas. Someone who loves Aiden like she clearly does." Maya found her voice. "What do you want, Celeste? Why are you here?" "I want to know my son," she replied simply. "Not to confuse him or disturb him. Not to try to take your place. Just to see him, maybe once, before it's too late. So he knows I existed, even if only as a footnote in his life." Lucas and Maya exchanged glances. Years of battles had created deep distrust, but the woman before them seemed genuinely changed. Or maybe it was just the final desperation of someone facing their own mortality. "I need to think about what's best for Aiden," Lucas said. "Not about satisfying your last-minute wishes." "I know," Celeste nodded. "And I would understand if you refused. Just please consider it. Here's my number in London. I'll be in the city for a week for treatments." She stood to leave, then stopped. "Maya," she said softly, "you're an extraordinary woman, an extraordinary mother. Aiden is very lucky to have you in his life." After her departure, Lucas and Maya sat in silence, absorbing what had happened. "Do you think she's telling the truth?" Maya asked finally. "About the cancer?" "She seemed different," Lucas admitted. "Less calculating." "What should we do?" Lucas rubbed his face tiredly. "I don't know. Part of me wants to protect Aiden from more confusion. Another part thinks that maybe someday he might resent not having had the chance to know her." "I think we need to ask him," Maya said finally, "not decide for him." When they explained the situation to Aiden, with simple, honest words appropriate for his age, his reaction surprised them both. "Is she very sick?" he asked, his eyes big with concern. "Yes, darling," Maya replied. "She is." "Then we should be kind," he said simply. "You always say we should be kind to sick people." Lucas looked at Maya, a weak smile on his face. "Sometimes I think he's wiser than both of us combined." They arranged a meeting in a neutral park, a public place, informal, where Aiden could feel comfortable, and the visit could end naturally when he got restless. Celeste arrived punctually, her movements slower than Maya remembered, her body thinner under elegant casual clothes. Aiden stood beside Maya, watching this stranger who was his biological mother with cautious curiosity. "Hello, Aiden," Celeste said softly. "You've grown so much." "I'm in second grade now," he informed her, "and I know all the dinosaurs." "That's impressive," she smiled. "What's your favorite?" While Aiden launched into a detailed explanation about Tyrannosaurus versus Velociraptors, Maya and Lucas watched from a respectful distance. There was no maternal warmth in the encounter, no instant connection. It was more like two people meeting for the first time, which in fact was exactly the case. After an hour, Aiden naturally returned to Maya and Lucas, his interest exhausted. Celeste understood, not pushing for more time or intimacy. "Thank you," she said to Lucas when they said goodbye. Then to Maya, "Take care of them." "Always," Maya promised. That was the last time they saw Celeste. She died 3 months later, faster than the doctors had predicted. Her obituary mentioned her parents and siblings, her modeling career, her contributions to charities, and, at the end, in a brief note, survived by her son, Aiden. Lucas and Maya explained to Aiden as best they could. He absorbed the news with the mixture of confusion and acceptance that children often show in the face of death, a distant sadness for someone he barely knew, but an instinctive understanding of finality. That night, after putting him to bed, Maya found Lucas on the terrace, looking at the lights of London. "Are you okay?" she asked, joining him. "I'm thinking about life," he replied. "How fragile it is. How I wasted so many years." Maya intertwined her fingers with his. They weren't wasted. They were lessons. Everything, the struggles, the pains, the mistakes, everything brought us here. Lucas turned to her, his eyes shining with unshed emotion. "Marry me!" Maya blinked, caught completely off guard. "What?" "Marry me," he repeated. "Not because we need to share custody of Aiden, not because it's practical or sensible, but because I love you, because I want to build the rest of my life with you." Maya felt tears welling in her eyes. "Lucas, you don't need to answer now," he said quickly. "I know it's sudden. Just, yes," she interrupted. "Yes, I'll marry you." The smile that lit up his face was like sunrise. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. "Aiden will be so excited," she laughed through tears. "He's been asking for months when we're going to be a real family." "We already are a real family," Lucas said. "Marriage just makes official what we already know in our hearts." The wedding was an intimate celebration. Not the glamorous spectacle one might expect from a billionaire, but a quiet ceremony in an English garden with only the people who truly mattered present. Aiden, obviously, was the ring bearer, taking his role with ceremonial seriousness. Elijah walked Maya down the aisle, his eyes shining with pride for his sister who had faced so much and emerged even stronger. Joel stood as Lucas's best man, his formal posture finally relaxed after so many years. When Maya walked toward Lucas, in a simple white dress that flowed like water around her, everyone present could see the complete transformation that had occurred. This wasn't the frightened maid who had once stolen a motorcycle in desperation. This wasn't the cold billionaire obsessed with control and image. They were simply a man and a woman who had learned, through extraordinary circumstances, the true meaning of family, courage, and love. "Aiden, would you like to say a few words?" the celebrant asked, following the plan they had prepared. The boy stepped forward, holding a small paper. His hair was carefully combed. His little suit fitted perfectly. He cleared his throat dramatically. "Before Maya came, me and my dad were sad, but we didn't know it. After she saved my life with the red motorcycle, we started learning to be happy. Now we're a real family, even though some people think it's strange. Dad says the best families are the ones we choose, not just the ones we're born into. I choose you two, forever. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. Maya knelt down, hugging Aiden tightly. I choose you too, forever. Lucas joined the embrace, the three united in the center of the garden, the past finally at peace, the future bright with promise. Later, during the reception, Maya found a moment to escape to a quiet corner. The emotion of the day was almost overwhelming. So much had happened in the last 3 years. So much had changed. Lucas found her there, extending a glass of champagne. "A penny for your thoughts, Mrs. Brandt." She smiled at hearing the new name. "I was thinking about Caleb," she admitted, wishing he could be here, and at the same time realizing that somehow he is. In every choice I made, in every step that brought me here. Lucas nodded, understanding. "Do you think he would approve?" "Yes," she said softly. "He would have loved Aiden. He would have loved you." Lucas took her hand, tracing the new ring on her finger. "You know what I'm most looking forward to?" "What?" "The ordinary," he smiled. "Family dinners, helping with homework, arguing about who left the toothpaste cap off. All the common moments that make a life extraordinary." Maya leaned into him, feeling the warmth of his body, the solidity of his presence. The ordinary sounds perfect. At that moment, Aiden came running, his tie undone, his face glowing with excitement. "Ma, Dad, come dance with me." They followed their son to the dance floor, where Elijah had convinced the band to play an upbeat song. Aiden spun with childish abandon. Lucas tried to keep up with clumsy steps, and Maya laughed, freer and happier than she had ever imagined possible. And so, under the English sky, an extraordinary family celebrated not just a wedding, but a journey. A journey that had begun in desperation and fear, with a stolen motorcycle and a frantic race to save a precious life. A journey that would continue day after day, year after year, with challenges and joys, ups and downs, but always together, always choosing each other, always remembering that decisive moment when an act of courage changed everything. Lucas embraced his wife and son, his heart overflowing with gratitude, for Maya, who had risked everything to save Aiden, for Aiden, who had taught them both the true meaning of unconditional love, and for all the choices, big and small, that had transformed 3 fragmented lives into a family. The party continued until evening, the garden lights twinkling like stars as guests danced and celebrated. But for Maya, Lucas, and Aiden, the real miracle wasn't in the elaborate celebration or the vows exchanged. It was in the simple fact of being together, of having found, against all odds, their way to each other. And in every beat of Aiden's heart, strong, steady, full of promise, was the reminder of the day that had changed everything. The day when a maid stole a billionaire's motorcycle to save his dying son. The day when love proved stronger than fear, more powerful than pride, more lasting than any social convention. The day when a true family began. The end, this extraordinary journey of redemption and love, reminds us that it's never too late to change. If stories like this inspire you to believe in the best of humanity, subscribe to the channel for more stories that will touch your heart and make you believe that miracles happen every day.